Gold comes, gold labors, gold clings, gold slips away, and gold flees. Mark those 5 things because they are going to be the subject of our next chapter of this book, The Richest Man in Babylon, that we are reviewing. Hello, this is Palmer the Coach, and welcome to the Coaching Minute. So we are going to the 5th chapter of the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, and it is titled The 5 Laws of Gold. And we will again do this in 2 sessions. So this is the first of the 2, where we will be looking at the first part of the chapter, and then we will conclude by looking at the second. So in this chapter of the 5 laws called The 5 Laws of Gold, it is a story told by a trader called Calabab, who was in the desert with his workers that he would move with when he goes to get merchandise to come and sell. And at night, they would pitch tents and their camels would sleep, and they would light a fire. And he would often talk and give stories to his workers. And on this particular night, he decided to give them the story of the 5 laws of gold. So he began by telling them that he encountered this story because it was told him by a man called Nomasir. Nomasir was the son of Akkad, whom we know by now was the richest man in Babylon. And Nomasir told Karabab his own story about how he had happened on riches and wealth for himself. And what he did tell him was this, that his father Akkad was growing old and of course was looking up to him as the heir for his much wealth. And the father told Nomasir this, that I would very much desire that you are the person to whom I leave this wealth. But if by any chance I suspect that you're going to lose it and not be able to look after it, I would rather I just donate it to the priests. Because if ever I find myself before the throne of God and they remember me, I might just be able to buy my way into a good place. And he told them that I then need to give you a test, my son, to be sure that you know how to make and look after gold. So he told him, hey, I'm going to give you 2 things. One, a whole sack of gold, and the next, a tablet full of wisdom. And I'll send you away for 10 good years. And if you come back and make account of your life after those 10 years, and you've managed to make the gold that I give you remain secure and grow, then I will know as my son you qualify to be left as heir of my great wealth. And that's what the father did. He sent off Nomasir with these 2 things, and the man took off. And he left the city of Babylon and decided he was going to the city of Nineveh to go and make his mark. While on his way, he goes and makes friends on the journey, and amongst the friends, one band tells him of this horse race that happens in Nineveh, where there is a man who wagers a big bet for anybody with a horse that would beat his. And these guys had a horse that was really, really fast, and they told him, our horse is going to make minced meat of that man's horse. So if you're in partnership with us and you give us part of your gold, we can assure you that you're going to make a lot of money as our horse goes and beats this man's in that race. And the young man thought, what a good idea. I could then meet my goal and come back to my father much sooner than he expected and take over our businesses. And he agrees and puts a lot of his gold to that cause, and they reach Nineveh, and the horse race happens, and fortunately, this horse, which was so fast according to these partners of his, was thoroughly beaten by the horse of the other trader, and so he lost more than half of his money in that scheme. And of course, he later discovered that these fellows that he met on the journey were actually in partnership with the other fraudster whose horse won, and it was too late for him. So he decided that of the money that I now have left, I will have to really, really get myself accountable and work hard to make sure that I make something of myself. And while at it, he went and met a young man whom he had known a bit in the past, who told him that there was a business being sold which was selling clothes, and if they bought that and managed it themselves, they should be able to make a good business and earn some money. Of course, that sounded very good, and he trusted his own discipline and trading, and they went into partnership and bought that business. But unknown to him, this other young man was basically a lazy fellow who kept on drawing capital out of this business, towards which he had not put anything. In fact, he had promised that he would have to travel and go and get his part of his capital to put in. But he became wasteful, and in no time, Nomasir's own capital was lost and wasted. This young man abandoned the business, and Nomasir had just to sell it off at a pittance to make very little, and the debt that he had meant that he was, from that moment on, a poor man. He had nothing left of the gold that his father had given him. He could barely even feed himself from the little proceeds. And it is at that point that he remembered that his father had given him two things: a sack of gold and a tablet of wisdom. And that's when he went back to this wisdom. And this is what he himself says when things reached that end. He says, "Thereupon I read most carefully thy words of wisdom." He's now reporting to his father what had befallen him after he had come back, and realized that had I but sought wisdom first, my gold would not have been lost to me. I learned by heart each law, and determined that when once more the goddess of good fortune smiled upon me, I would be guided by the wisdom of age, not by the inexperience of youth. And that's why this chapter is titled The Five Laws of Gold, because this is what was inscribed on the tablet that Akkad had given his son. And these are the five laws of gold that he remembered to read. I have done my best also to commit these ones to heart, because they are the heart of building wealth for those who are committed. Remember when we began this, the review of this book, the men who went to Akkad to be given wisdom, and he told them, if you haven't made a fortune for yourselves, it is either you have never learned the laws that govern the making of the world of wealth, or if you have learned them, then you have not followed them. So it is a good thing, if you're going to be a student of Akkad in learning how to build wealth, that you learn the laws that govern the making of wealth, or the laws of gold. And these are the five laws of gold. The first one says that gold cometh gladly and in increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of all his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. Then the second law of gold says, gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field. Then the third law says, gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men who are skilled or wise in its handling. The fourth law of gold says, gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar, or those which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. And finally, the fifth law of gold states that gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who follow the alluring advice of tricksters and fraudsters, or who trusted with his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment. So those are the five things that I said we watch as we began this session. It is that gold comes or cometh, gold laboreth, gold clingeth, gold slips away, or gold flees. It's up to you and up to me to determine what our gold does for us. And that, my friends, is the end of the coaching minute for today. As always, reach out for a helping hand, and if you can, hold someone else's too. Thank you.